All right, welcome in, Sydney. Thank you so much for coming into the Coach's Corner. I like to call these the Coach's Corner. Just me out here giving the people some knowledge about nutrition and health and wellness, especially when it comes to professional women. So all month long, we've been talking about professional load and all the things that women experience. So thank you for being on. I want you to tell us a little bit about what you do and who you do it for.
Yeah, I want to say thank you so much, Gina, for just having me here today. I think this is just it's such an important topic on the mental load uh, that we as mothers, we as professionals go through. This is a real thing, and you are just shining the light on it. And I just want to say thank you for bringing awareness to this. So, who I am, just to give my story, I was a certified nursing assistant. I did that for 6 years. I worked in a hospital. I was a floater. So I worked in the ER, I worked in ICU, I worked in the psych unit, I worked in med surge. And I got to the point where I loved what I did, but I got to the point where I just knew I could serve people in a better way. So I shifted careers. I went to nutrition school, and I am now a certified functional nutrition coach. So I help women, I help moms that have SIBO, and just to let people know what that stands for, small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. I help them get to the root cause of their digestion issues.
Yeah, that's a lot. And you have a podcast.
Yes. And I do a podcast, and I do that weekly. So that's been another interesting, fun journey that I've been on.
And you have kids.
Yeah. And I have kids. I have two kids. I have two teenagers. I have a husband. We have three dogs. We just got the third dog. It's a puppy. So that's been an interesting journey.
So fun.
He's getting into everything. So that's been fun.
Yeah. So, in other words, you have a lot more on your plate than just your practice. So, there is the podcast that you're doing related to your practice, but then you also have a family. And I think when we think about personal, stuff that we're doing, personal life, and then our professional life, we don't necessarily think about all the things that we're organizing and planning. We think about all the things that we're doing. And it seems like there's a lot of stuff that we're doing. But what about all the planning, the monitoring, the following up that we have to do? All of that contributes to our mental load. And so I wanted to hear about, how do you handle it?
Yeah, it gets difficult. And just to add to my story, my husband, back in 2020, he works for the railroad, so he got furloughed. So it was so nice having him home for basically a year. And then recently, he got recalled back to work. And when he got recalled back to work, they forced him to work in another state. So he has been away now going on 10 months. So my mental load and like my professional load over the last 10 months, it has doubled. And I was finding myself very overwhelmed, very frustrated, because I had the support of my partner. He's wonderful. He meets me halfway, and he does a lot. So now it's like, oh my gosh, I'm doing all of this by myself, trying to build my practice, dealing with the kids, getting them to different activities. Everybody's kind of like going their own directions. And I got to the point where I just kind of had to step back because I wasn't showing up as the best version of myself. So I just really had to take the time and say, how can I make this better? How can I just de-stress and be the best mom I could be and be the best person for myself? So I now I told myself I have to give myself grace. And
Yes.
for those listening that are going through maybe a similar situation that I'm going through, or just when you get caught up in life, giving yourself grace and telling yourself it's okay if you don't do everything that day. And it can be challenging because, as just from my perspective, you just want to hold on to everything, like, oh, nobody else can do it. But now I'm realizing, like, okay, I can hand off these different tasks to different people, and they can do it. It's okay to ask for help.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's great. Great gems there about stepping back, really taking a look at this isn't working. I'm not showing up as my best self, and delegating.
yeah, absolutely. Delegating I think is number one. And two, what I do now is I have things on automation, which makes things like so easy. Just for instance, something as so simple as like monthly bills. Instead of having to jump on the computer every month to pay the bills, now I just have it automated. So now that's just like one less thing off of my plate. Do the automation thing,
Yep.
which works. I also have my kids. My kids have really, really stepped up, which is nice. They step up where I love to cook, but I told them, you know what, you guys, you're going to have to start doing a lot more now. So now they cook.
Wow.
So
That's
that
impressive.
is really good. They cook like a couple times a week. Like this morning, my son, he made breakfast, which is nice. And my daughter, this girl is amazing. She has really, really stepped up. She helps teach my son, how to cook. So that's just kind of like another thing off my plate, which is nice. Um, And two, I find what works best for me is every morning before my feet touch the floor, I do a 10-minute meditation. So I have something like pre-programmed on my phone. So all I have to do is like scroll to it, open it, tap it. I do the 10-minute meditation, which has been a lifesaver. And I love to journal. Just taking the time to journal down all of my thoughts really helps. It helps me gain that clarity. It just kind of helps flush all of that ick out of my brain. So that's
Yeah.
very helpful.
I think that when we have that mental load so heavy, we feel like we can't take time to do those things. How do you feel like you can take the time to journal or take the time to meditate?
Gina, I just do it in little bite-sized little steps.
Okay.
And that has been something that I think it's been working so well for me and for everybody listening out there. I know we feel like we have to do everything, like, oh, we have to do it all at once. But just breaking everything up in those bite-sized pieces, oh my gosh, it helps tremendously. So when I do meditate, I just do it like for 10 minutes at a time. When I journal, I have like my little notebook that I journal in. I just fill up a page, just one page. So it's not like, oh gosh, I have to sit here and fill out 2 to 3 pages. No, that would just be
It's doable.
unrealistic.
Yeah, it's doable. You're not sitting down for 45 minutes of a meditation that's going to take you, all this time or focus. You're doing it in a 10-minute shot and it's going to get done. And you're going to feel so relieved and just refreshed, right? Ready for your day when you're ready to go. And I think it's brilliant to hand off these things to your kids or hand it off to somebody else, whoever that may be, because you're giving that person agency, right? You're teaching your kids, hey, I'm big enough to do this sort of thing. Whatever the jobs are in your house, that they have agency over that and they feel good about, I'm helping and I'm, an active part of this family. Just because we can do something doesn't mean that we should do it, right? And I think that that's the trick to changing the perception that we have of this mental load, that nobody can do it as good as us. And that's not really true. Maybe they won't do it like we do it. So there's that letting go piece of, oh, you're not loading the dishwasher like I want, but it's getting done.
Exactly. And it's just, yes, they can't do it like us, but just, it's like you said, it's getting done. And just being able to accept that, which can be challenging, but letting go and just also just taking those deep breaths in daily. And two, I just wanted to add another part. I told myself there's got to be non-negotiables in my life. So one of my non-negotiables is every day for 20 minutes, I have made it a promise to myself to sit outside by myself. I make myself a smoothie and I just think about like whatever. I just close my eyes. I just focus in on the sounds of the birds or if the wind is blowing. And my kids know like, oh, okay, this is the time mom's going outside. They don't bother me. They're very respectful. So I just encourage everybody just to really remember to set aside that time every single day just to be by yourself, whether it's 5 minutes, whether it's 10 minutes. We just have to, because we can't pour from an empty cup.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to take that sacred space out of your day. And that is so hard, especially when we feel like we have so much on our plate. But you've really put it in a brilliant way, I think, to say, take the small chunks, just do things in small chunks. And you don't have to feel like you have to have a 45-minute meditation session. You're still going to get the benefit of 10 minutes and 10 minutes of journaling or one page of, journaling.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, thank you, Sydney, for all these wonderful gems. Tell me and tell everybody else how they can find you.
Okay. I have a website. It's balancehealthnow.com. And if you want to hang out on Instagram, it's the same thing, at Balance Health Now.
Awesome. And is that the same name as your podcast?
Yes, it's all the same name. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to be sure that everybody knows, and I will put that in the comments below so people can find it.
Okay, I just want to say thank you so much for having me as a guest to sit here and bring awareness to the mental load.
Thank you. We have learned so much from you, and I can't wait to have another conversation soon.
Thanks, Gina.